slowly but surely start this event. Let's see how many people are joining. I guess we have already some people online. Fantastic. So, hello, my name is Dimitri. Slowly but surely start this event. Let's see how many people are. Okay. My name is Dimitri. I work as a deputy head of QA here in dxExperts, and today I have a pleasure of hosting this event, namely the dxTechTalk QA track. dxTechTalk, for those of you who have never seen us before, is a series of meetups which we organize to build a community around things that we care about. And we care about financial software, engineering, and solving different problems around these areas. We have been in charge of various online and offline events, which were surprisingly popular in recent years here in Porto, also in Sofia, in Tbilisi, and we're proud of this geography that we have. We launched this project, as I told you, to get in touch with the community and share the expertise. And today, we're continuing that with two beautiful talks from engineers from our team. André Oliveira, who will present you some of the challenges and some of the successes we had when we introduced testing on production, no matter how awkward it might sound. And Georgi, who is our senior engineer, and Georgi's talk will be slightly more on the theoretical side about the future of using AI in QA. Before I go to present the beautiful speakers in more detail, just to let you know how it will go. So we will have, as I mentioned, two talks, 25 minutes each. Please feel free to ask questions directly in chat here on the translation on YouTube. And if you will have more questions, obviously we can leave some of them on the end, or feel free to reach me or any of our speakers directly on LinkedIn. Also, if you are curious about what we do or how we do stuff, or any of the previous or the future events that we have, please feel free to reach dxExperts on LinkedIn or visit our website or go to Instagram or TikTok, whatever you feel comfortable with. So again, that was it. And let me reintroduce you the first speaker, André Oliveira. He is a very proficient engineer and a team lead of one of our biggest teams, engineering teams. And with his 15 years of experience in software engineering, he has plenty of stories to tell about developing and technology. And his speech will be about testing software in production. And without further ado, without stealing any of your fame, Andre, please welcome. The scene is yours.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Let me share here. So I hope you are seeing my screen now. Well, thank you, Dimitri, for the intro. Thank you for having me here at dxTechTalk. As you mentioned today, I'll share a little about this interesting topic, usually not covered on QA talks, which is testing prod. But just before, let me introduce myself quickly, I promise. As you know, my name is André Oliveira. I have been working with software engineering and quality area for a long time. I have led and delivered different projects, mostly in fintech area. I have studied different topics in software engineering, and now I'm very interested in learning how data science and AI can bring value to software engineering. That's why I'm interested as well in the next talk. So let me share a little bit now our agenda. I wanna start explaining why I choose this topic for today, why testing prod. I will show some techniques and some examples. And after that, I want to share a real use case applied here at the experts and some lessons learned as well. Well, let's start them. Why testing prod? Why did I choose this topic? Well, we have no doubts that software quality is critical for business success, especially in fintech area, right? So the complexity of systems, the diversity of users, constant changes make this task very, very hard. So finding bugs in prod can be very challenging. We need to be alert to all signals and make sure the software is always performing its best. Simulating real scenarios and monitoring system behavior helps detecting issues earlier and take preventive actions. So in this context, testing in prod can be a powerful tool. Because we know quality is the best form of advertising. I'm pretty sure if you close your eyes, you can think easily in a company known by selling products with elevated quality. And you can also find an example of the opposite as well, probably. Still, I know testing prod can be controversial topic because probably if you have learned anything about quality, if you have studied any topic about quality in software engineering, you probably learned a diagram like this, right? So you probably learned that you should start testing as soon as possible so you could identify issues and problems earlier, and because this reduce risk and cost, is more efficient. So you probably are thinking that testing prod is the opposite of shifting left, and in fact it's not. No worry, I'm not saying anything against shift left. So let me just tell a little bit what's testing prod mean. So tests are executed in the same environment used by end users, and they are not the opposite of other tests. They actually complement traditional tests done in dev environments or in QA environments. So for example, you can check performance, you can check stability, you can check usability in real environment, and you can identify configuration issues. For example, you deploy a property file with wrong parameters for prod, or you can identify some infrastructure issues. For example, your load balancer is not properly set for prod, or even you can discover that users of your application are using it in an unexpected way. So basically, you can combine everything you know about QA best practices plus DevOps culture and reliability engineering to check quality in prod. Now let me show you some techniques and some examples that could be applied in prod. First, synthetic testing. Basically, it simulates user scenarios in prod. Look this example. So this is an e-commerce application, and basically you can simulate the whole purchase journey and check if everything is working fine. Important, this simulation can be built with testing automation tools that you already know and you probably already use in your testing techniques. And finally, if you combine this synthetic testing with other monitoring tools, you can have a complete and real-time view of your platform. Another example of technique is load testing. Load testing evaluates the platform performance under different levels of demand. Let's imagine that you are developing a new application, you have delivered different MVPs, but now you want to expand to this platform to a huge number of users, or you have an existing platform and you know this platform will be stressed during some promotional sales. Probably you want to know how your platform behaves in advance, right? So you can apply different load testing strategies, and you can identify bottlenecks, size infrastructure issues, and ensure your platform scalability works fine. Next, I want to talk about chaos testing. Chaos testing, the goal of chaos testing is checking how resilient is your platform. Basically, we understand that problems and unexpected events might happen. So since we understand that this can happen, we can prepare and check how resilient our platform is. So the process follows this image. We start with our overall platform state, and then we design some hypotheses. So what could go wrong in our platform? We design some experiments. We check how our platform works and how it behaves. We learn the results, and finally, we fix if we find something wrong. Let me show you an example. So here we can see one application to buy tickets. Basically, we have a mobile client, and this mobile client access some server small applications to provide data to this mobile client. So we have one service to provide tickets data. We have one service to provide more information about the concerts, shows, etc. So now we can think about hypotheses. What if this ticket service stops working? Do you think your mobile client, your mobile application, your user interface would keep showing properly data, would show some friendly error message, or do you think your application would crash? What if your API gateway, what if your API gateway stop answering or would answer with reduced resource? How do you think your user interface would behave in this case? And last, let's imagine that this application accesses some third-party system, maybe not designed with new technology, maybe built with legacy technology. So how do you think your application would behave if this third-party system would be offline? So you can design and run all these experiments and see how your application behaves before something goes wrong in real life. And finally, this technique also helps a lot to find problems in your monitoring tools, because you can often identify that something goes wrong in your user interface that might not be captured by your monitoring tools, so you can improve your observability as well. Now let me share just some risks and challenges of testing prod. So obviously, any testing prod can impact real users, and you should also not turn off any security measure or any security step. So you cannot create any security vulnerability during your tests. You need to handle higher complexity, since prod environments usually are more complex than QA environments or dev environments. So you usually have more instances or higher number of different components in prod. So your test should consider that you are touching a more complex environment. And finally, you need to have keep monitoring everything in your platform so you can understand if your tests are generating any side effects or if you're catching any unexpected issue during your tests as well. So everything should be monitored properly. Now let me just share some advices here to answer this challenge that I just mentioned before. So first, I know sometimes it's impossible, but ideally we should try to have similar test environments as we have in prod. So you can apply these tests, these techniques in QA environments before you apply them in prod. So you can identify earlier if your test might cause an issue on prod. You should have, as I mentioned before, continuous monitoring, so you can identify easily if your tests are catching something wrong or if your tests are causing something wrong in prod as well. Another important step, everything that we run in prod should follow a runbook, and each step should have a rollback mechanism so you can roll back your system to the previous state before something goes wrong. And finally, clear communication and feedback is really important. So every stakeholder should be aware that something is being applied or being executed in prod, that it's just this is just a test, and or if some alerts are triggered, that this is under control. And finally, try to use test automation to automate these tests as well, because you can avoid any manual mistake during your test execution. Now let me share one use case, and it's about synthetic testing. So let me describe a little bit the context of this use case. Please imagine that we are talking here about one global trading platform. This global trading platform has more than 11 million accounts, and the overall architecture is client server. Since we are on fintech market, our releases are on weekends because it's when we have a lower load, and we received a challenge. The challenge was optimize the validation post each deployment, every release, and also monitor the platform health during a huge migration that we had planned. So basically, we should prepare the infrastructure to run in the system to run in another infrastructure, and we would like to keep monitoring everything and make sure that our client didn't have any impact. So that's why we decided applying synthetic testing here. Now I just would like to share a little bit an example of our user interface so you can see the diversity of display data we have here and how complex can be the platform, and to check the quality and health and how healthy is the platform. So since we received this challenge, we started implementing this solution. So I want to share here some steps. First, we understood the main application use case, the most critical ones, the use case that we should cover on our synthetic monitoring. We defined the scope, and we try to make clear the difference between synthetic testing and functional testing. So our goal was not checking every business rule in the application. Instead was checking the overall basic use cases in the application and make sure that the overall user experience was fine. We identified target components since we could cover on UI side. In this case, we understood that we should apply our synthetic tests on backend side. Since we decided to apply on backend side, we had to list all requests since we would like to run and simulate user experience running backend requests. We also had non-functional requirements to address on our side as well. We had to plan which data we would like to log, which metrics we would like to collect. And finally, we had to define how often we would like to run our monitoring tool. So here I want to share a little bit how is the overall architecture. So as I mentioned before, we have different user interfaces connecting to a server side, different components on server side. So we decided to build this synthetic testing tool connecting to backend components. Basically, we designed and we developed a Java application with Spring Boot and JUnit 5. This application was responsible to connect on backend side and run all use cases that we prepared, and finally collect the results, store this data in a GraphiDB, so we could display the results in a Grafana dashboard properly. This application is triggered every 25 minutes by TeamCity, which is our CI and CD tool. And so we can collect how healthy is our platform every 25 minutes. Now let me share some numbers about our synthetic testing. So we have developed 27 use cases, the most important and critical use cases for the platform. These 27 use cases are triggered every 25 minutes, as I mentioned before, and we run them against 39 hosts. So we have almost 3,000 checks every day in our platform, because we have this 25 minutes run, plus some random hosts are executed every 2 minutes. So almost 3,000 checks every day. Now, since we collect all this data, we decided to share the results in Grafana dashboards. This is not a talk about Grafana dashboards, but let me just show different views that we can provide based on this data that we collect. So this is a heartbeat view. Basically, we can show if the platform, how is the platform based on last execution. We can also have some view based on time range when we share the results in a specific period. And we can also show how healthy is each server component or even each host on time range as well. And finally, we also collect how much time we spend to run every use case against each host, which collects some interesting data for us as well. We consider the time spent for each use case a latency metric, not on network level, because here we are combining different requests in each use case. So for us, this is latency on user experience level. So since we started running this this tool, we had some interesting findings. So, for example, we discovered that our DNS returned some hosts without configured application. For example, we found some partial downtime during deployments, some errors during authentication process, some increased response time at market opening, and also some weekend specific errors. So everything that probably we couldn't catch on QA environments or wouldn't be so easy to catch on QA environments, we could find with the synthetic testing in our example. So now let me just review some takeaways from this talk. So I hope this talk made clear how testing prod can help you identifying issues before they become a problem to the client, and that these issues can be, once identified, they can be prioritized in team backlog, helping the continuous quality improvements. You can have different metrics and you can collect different numbers, and you can have different strategies to check your platform performance. And finally, you can reduce cost, and you can increase user satisfaction with reliable platform, since you can check your platform 24 hours, 7 days in a week. Because we know the pursuit of quality is a continuous journey. It's not a final destination, even in prod. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can share now, or you can share later in our official contacts here at DevExperts. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. This was an amazing journey. We have some time for questions, and we have some of them in our chat. So let's spend some time with that. Okay, the first question is, I guess, for you personally. Did you start as an engineer, Andre?
Sorry, what's the question, Dmitry?
The question is probably for you. Did you start as an engineer? Or you have been a leader from the
No. I started, yes, okay, I got it. No. I started as a junior engineer, and I have developed projects as a QA engineer and as a developer. So the whole track as an engineer, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mia, for the question. So next question is from Maria Jo. Why did you decide implementing the synthetic test on the backend side? Probably compared to the front end or something like that. So yeah.
Yes, so in this case, we wanted to collect feedbacks from the platform as soon as possible. So we understood that running on backend side, we could collect feedback quicker, and also abstracting the complexity of different user interface that we have available. So we decided to cover that on backend side. And I think it was a right decision. Obviously, for different projects, you can have different solutions. So you can think about covering on UI side, especially if you want to make, if you want to cover some specific requirements developed on UI side, then it makes sense. In our case, we decided to cover on backend side and get feedbacks as soon as possible.
Clear. Thank you. Thank you, Maria, for the question. Next question is, what is the most common issue you encounter with business analysts documentation, definition of done, traceability, and how to avoid it? I feel like it's not completely related to this, but if you have opinion on that, please share.
Okay. Well, actually, I think the most challenging here for this project was the communication and making sure that our goal was not having functional tests in prod. right? We were trying here to cover how healthy was the platform and not cover every corner case or every business rule here, since we are the main goal here is checking how healthy is the platform and how the user experience is in prod.
Thank you. Next question is from Alan Fritsch. Why run these tests each 25 minutes? Was it a requirement?
Yes, actually, we decided to start every 25 minutes and check how the load would affect, if it could affect or not, and how the data would be helpful or not running every 25 minutes. After that, as I mentioned before, we started picking random hosts and checking every 2 minutes. So I can say that we have almost online feedbacks from the platform if we combine the executions every 25 minutes against all hosts, plus random hosts every 2 minutes. So I can say that we have almost online feedbacks from the platform.
If I may add here, maybe the question was also about how did you come up with exactly 25? Why not 23? Why not 37?
Okay. No, it's just no special definition here. Not we just took in consideration how long the execution will take, right? And to avoid any overlap or any queue in our process, we decided to keep in 25 minutes.
Okay, clear. Thank you. There are some questions that I will answer just in chat. And the next question is from Dmitry Suntsov. What is the difference between your prod and non-prod auto suits?
Non-prod what?
What is the difference between your prod and non-prod test suits?
Okay. Yeah, well, we have a very different strategy for QA. So on QA, we have automation designed by covering the regression execution. So we have backend tests, front-end tests, all designed to cover basically the entire business rules. And here in synthetic testing, we are just checking if the main features are working fine. So it's a reduced amount of test cases and not detailed. We are not checking every data or we are not calculating anything here. We are just checking if our platform is healthier or not. We are not checking all business rules.
Thank you. So the next question would be, how did you handle the test data in prod? A fair and good question.
Yes, thank you for this question. I forgot to mention during the presentation. This is another very important difference between functional testing and the synthetic testing. So basically in functional testing, we have more control on test data, right? So in general, we can create our test data and we can manage, we can set up everything. And actually we need to do that to make sure our end results are expected, right? And on synthetic testing, we are using a limited amount of data that we can handle in prod. And in general, we need to be very careful with overall data management and make sure that we are not creating any trouble.
Okay, cool. Let me finish with couple more questions, and we will switch to the next topic. And guys, if you will have any questions remain, please feel free to reach us in the social networks. So our colleague Daniel Jr. Is asking, do you think testing on prod lives close to monitoring actually? How would you define the differentiation between testing in prod and monitoring?
Okay. Actually, I think I see that they are a complement. Basically, here in synthetic testing, what we are doing, we are trying to understand from user experience perspective if everything is working fine. And I think this helps and this adds information with other monitoring tools that we have. So you can collect lots of other metrics about your platform, checking your cloud solution, for example, or checking your server metrics, for example. So they all combined give you more information about how healthy is your platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. And last question, which will ask it by a fellow junior engineer, seems to be in the chat. So, any advice from you for a junior QA engineer, Andre?
Yes. Well, this is challenging, but let me try. So first of all, try to explore QA best practices and QA techniques, but combined also with other engineering techniques. So I understand that a QA engineer should have in your toolbox lots of good tools, techniques, and best practices. So yeah, study a lot QA, traditional techniques and best practices, and also DevOps, also reliability engineering. So all these techniques combined can help you to build really powerful solutions. Yeah, and help you to grow in the end of the day.
Okay. I couldn't agree more with this definition. Thank you, Andre, for a very interesting presentation and wise answers to the questions. So, everyone, let's slowly but surely switch to the next topic. If you have any questions remained, maybe we will have some time at the end to answer them, or feel free to reach me or Andre directly in LinkedIn so we can answer your questions. But let's switch to the next topic, which will be presented by Georgi Georgiev. Georgi is a seasoned quality professional with over 7 years in the industry and master's degree in computer science. And besides working in our corporate setting, Georgi also has an academic degree, and he's an assistant professor in Technical University of Sofia. And continuing this scientific topic, his talk will be about application of AI in modern testing, or application of modern AI in testing, however you feel like it. So yeah, please give a warm welcome to Georgi. Georgi, the scene is yours.
Hello, thank you, Dimitri, for giving these nice words and representing me to the people here. So I want to start with that. My name is Georgi Georgiev, and today, how Dimitri say, we are going to have some look on the trend, one of the most trending topics nowadays. First, let me introduce myself. How Dimitri say, I have over 7 years of experience in the field of quality assurance. I had my master degree in computer science in Technical University in Sofia, and a part of the business career. I'm following some academical paths in my career. Also, fun fact for me, I love traveling, and this is something that I'm trying to do as much as I can during my day-to-day during my free time out of the day-to-day work. Here is what we are going to cover today. We will start with where QA stands today. There is a lot of pressures nowadays, the trade-offs and also the gaps. Then we will explore how AI fits in our world, not just as some magic button, but actually with as some powerful partner that we have. We will look at some test generation, some prompt engineering. Of course, when you speak about AI, there is a lot of risk of hallucination that we're going to cover, and also some real world examples, both the wins and the fails in this. And we will finish with some look into what next and the things like self-healing, autonomous testing, of course, and where actually you fit into the future of the QA. I hope this sounds good for you, but let's get started and get a little bit deeper. So let's start by grounding ourselves in the today's reality. The QA teams are under pressure than ever, and we're seeing that we have faster releases, more complex systems, and um, some expectations that all of us here probably can confirm that they're only gone up. And what is the reality actually? We often face some virtual trade-off between the speed and the coverage. And what the question here is, what if we didn't have to choose that? What if instead of just speeding us up, our tools can think together with us? And that's actually the opportunity that AI brings nowadays on the table. And yeah, it's already here, and we need to face that. Uh, of course, QA has always been a mission critical thing, but it's changing rapidly. Of course, remembering when the testing was fully manual, it was slow, it was difficult to scale. And then in 2000, the automation came in and brought us a lot of speed. Of course, this speed comes with a lot of fragility, and there is a lot of script that was broke. There is a lot of maintenance that has been part as a second job for us. Then on the scene of this evolving, we evolved through Agile and DevOps. Then shift left testing, and of course, all of these things changing the QA at all. And so what's actually now, what era we are actually entering? And we are entering the era of AI augmented QA. And AI today can actually parse requirements, can generate test cases for us, can adapt to changes, even can spot some edge cases that we are probably miss on the daily basis. It's not some science fiction at all. It's our new toolkit and our new daily thing that we can use. But of course, it's really important to see how it affects us. And one of the most exciting application of AI in QA today is test case generation. Traditionally, this has been really manual grind and understands the requirement, designing the scenarios, write out the edge cases. It's a slow process. It's a very heavy process, and AI can now analyze all of those things for us. It can analyze the application requirements, user stories, even the production data, and the test cases that is generated by AI. They will be just automatically on our use. And if you think about it, this test case is based on how users actually behave in the wild. And this isn't just some acceleration, it's some intelligent alignment with the real world usage. But writing test cases manually takes a lot of time. And I'm pretty sure that if we have a 10 cases, all of us are going to think about, okay, this is going to burn us 2, 3, 4 hours. to get it right. First, we need to understand the changing requirements. Then we need to design our test cases. Of course, we need to write them. We need to polish them or review them. But yeah, with AI coming in, this timeline flips. And with the right prompts, we can get 5 or 10 test cases in a matter of seconds. And the big things here is that if the scope change for our project, we don't need to rewrite them. We just need to tweak the prompt. And actually, this means that we can shift our focus from some manual groundwork to where we really can add value. We can add value as some risk analysis, doing some risk analysis. We can do some exploratory testing, some quality strategies if you want. But now let's look at some practical example actually on how just this prompt quality can shape those results. And when we working with AI, there is really important questions that we need to keep in mind. How we are going to ask it and actually what we will ask it. And so this is actually where the prompt engineering became a real skill. And here I have some comparison of 2 prompts. The first prompt is more like not that it's more vague, and it's not that strict with a lot of explanation. And the second one is actually with a clear role, with a defined output format and some explicit constraints. And of course, we can consider the first one as a bad prompt and the second one with a good prompt. And when we talk about prompt engineering, in my mind, there is 3 rules that we need to follow. The first rule is that we need to be specific because wage prompts are equal to the wage output, and we cannot escape from that. The second rule is that we need to set the role. We need to tell the AI that, okay, you're a QA engineer in our case. And after that, we are not just asking some chatbot, but we are actually briefing with our colleague. And the third question, which is not less important than others, is we need to ask for the structure format. We can ask for JSON format. We can ask for tables or some Gherkin format. So we need to follow those 3. And another thing that actually now we see is that all of us are making this mistake or keep making it, or we didn't adapt yet to have more generic prompts. But we need to address the critical issue here. When we have some generic or some not that informed input into our AI tools that we're using, we are going to face the hallucinations. And actually, these are the cases where the AI generates a response that sounds correct, but they're totally made up. And they can see some wrong, they can output some wrong endpoints or some invalid logic for our need. And actually, this is where they become dangerous because they look believable, but they're not. And what do you think it would look like the outputs of having some generic prompt as this? Generic prompt as this is going to give the AI a lot of place for its own imagination. And let's look at it. Here is a real output from the AI test case generator that looks polished on the first place. But if you look closer, then we are going to see that it invents their own endpoints that we never asked for. It's going to add, in this case, it's actually a raw view that doesn't exist in our case. Expected some 200 response that is not actually suitable with the REST best practices for creating a user, for example, in our case. We need to have something like 201. And in this case, it's even hallucinated a fake success message. And this is some classic AI hallucinations. And They look confident, polished, but fundamentally they're wrong. And this is why the structure and the context matter. And so you're going to hear me a lot of times saying that the context matter in case of AI. So how do we prevent hallucination? We guide the AI, just like we are going to guide some junior colleague, junior testers in our team. You remember the three rules that I mentioned it earlier. So we need to be explicit. We need to say that, okay, you're a QA engineer. We need to provide the methods, the endpoint, the schema that we need for our tests. And actually, we need to be clear. And we need to say that, okay, don't invent fields or outputs. Just follow everything that I give you as a structure, and always request this structure, and always request formats that can be verifiable. And actually, this is going to, if you try it on your own, you're going to see that this is drastically going to improve the accuracy and the consistency in your generated test cases. But here is what looks like the output when we have this structured prompt. So having something like that is going to see that we have a clean structure and schema compliant output. We are not going to see those made up fields. We're not going to see any fake messaging. It's going to return the correct code as a response from what we need. And with the proper context, again, AI becomes a reliable testing assistant, and it's not a liability. Of course, here's the mindset shift. You wouldn't drop a new hire into test writing without giving it some proper product training. The same thing goes for the AI. And the more context we gave it, the more useful it becomes. And AI isn't magic how we start in the beginning. It's a reflection of the instruction we gave it. And of course, we need to treat it like some junior QA in our team. We need to teach it, we need to guide it, and it will start producing the real results and the real value for our team. And speaking of teaching it and guiding it, let's talk about how the most advanced AI test generations works. And it starts with actually our actual assets. Assets like our product documentation, our book reports, or even test cases that we currently have in our repositories. And those get embedded as some vector that capture meaning, not just the text. And having this uh, is going to be having embedded as vectors. They're going to use some vector database like Pinecone, for example, and it's going to retrieve the relevant information. It's not going to be just some random keywords. So when you ask for some test cases, then we are pulling only what matters, not we're going to get out of the hallucinations. And that's going to inject into some prompt, pass to some GPT model, and the result is going to be some aligned and context-aware test. And this is actually what is RAG. RAG is retrieval augmented generation that's going to use your data as your team data and the AI precision to give you the best results. But of course, there is another way of training our models. Of course, it's even better, the fine tuning. And train your AI like you're training your team. This is something that needs to always keep in our mind when we have this in mind to integrate into the teams. And fine tuning means that we need to teach the model with our specific logic, with our endpoints, with validation rules, your business flows, whatever is needed. And you need to do this by pairing the real input data. And this is happening with some different ways. And in our case, I just show some scheme of how it looks like with JSON-L format and how we actually feel with some user stories and with real test case outputs. And once we train our model, it doesn't need to remind us after that. it's passed to our platform that we choose. Our platform is actually the model that we choose. And after that, it knows our system and it's going to stop guessing. It's going to process all of those data sets and it's going to have a context-based test case at the end of the process. And because it's going to know, of course, our system inside out. And this is not the only way of using the AI in our day-to-day work. Of course, the self-healing test is something that is also really useful nowadays. And imagine here an example that I have that we have some travel website, and our test selecting United States from the drop-down. Of course, this is some Selenium code. All is well. And everybody can say that, okay, perfect, we run it, everything is good. But what's happened when the dev team change the ID or make some options dynamic? So our traditional Selenium will fail and it breaks. And it's not going to break because we have a bug, we have a broken feature, but it's going to break because the locator is changed. And this is where the AI powered self-healing kicks in. AI tools like Functionize or Testim, they can spot this. They can spot that the drop-down ID change, and they will see that everything around is the same. They will analyze the structure, the label, the position, and of course, at the end, they will adapt. And instead of failing, the test will heal itself and will continue running. So we're not going to see all of those bad weather pipelines in our CI/CD process. And of course, I love saying that this is something how our GPS is working. When the road is closed, we will find another way of actually getting from to the end point of our destination. Of course, AI is really powerful tool to have it in your toolkit, but it's not perfect. It can generate, it can automate and adapt, but there is still areas where we as a humans shine. And one of these areas is the exploratory testing, guys. And this is still really human thing. Of course, it's creative, it's curious, and it's unpredictable. And I'm not speaking about AI here. I'm speaking about the human brain. And AI can't replicate that, or not yet. Our ability actually to follow those hunches, to spot the weird UX patterns, or to uncover those buried bugs, that's still on our own. And yeah, the soul of the exporter testing is the curiosity of our own minds. So we need to follow this, and we need to see actually how the AI will develop, and is it going to develop in a position where it can replace this as well. We've talked a lot about the context, and that context matters before. And here I want to say once again why it's worth repeating it. Without the proper context, AI defaults to some generalizations, and every team who is looking to adopt AI into the QA needs to invest here and needs to invest in those domain knowledge. Otherwise, your team is doing it for nothing. The next topic is related to the autonomous testing, and autonomous testing is not some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's happening, and AI is now generating and running and even refining our tests on a daily basis. But we need to define what autonomous really means, and it's not just the automatic execution of our scripts. It's a decision-making process, adaptation process, or even some smart prioritization. And actually, that brings us to the model context protocol, or MCP. We are not going to go deep into what is MCP, but I want to see the powers of MCP. And MCP is shortly is designed to help the LLMs and the AI agents to operate more intelligently in the real world environment. And this gives them a structured access to relevant contexts everything that is needed to make informative decision as test suite, product requirements, everything that we have. In the QA world, this means that a model could intelligently decide which tests to run and how to prioritize those defects, or even to adapt the testing based on the recent code changes. But of course, with the great power, also there is a great risk. And if we gave the AI control, or if we gave it even the limited control, we must set our boundaries, and we need to set boundaries and to answer to the questions, some questions. Boundaries like security, as autonomy and transparency is something that we need to have it. We need to answer to the questions like, okay, can it access sensitive data? Can we give it this to can we give these rights to the AI? Can we can the AI act without some validation from our side, or can we explain its own decisions? These aren't just some technical challenges. There are actually some ethical ones. And when we implement something like that, we need to safeguards that go beyond the functionality. Of course, everybody is asking nowadays, will AI replace people, or in our case, the testers? The real answer here is no. But guys, your role will change, and AI cannot explore or cannot emphasize, but it can intuit the risk. But it's also cannot intuit the risk like the human, us humans. But those who know how to use the AIs, this is the question. They're going to change us. They're going to lead the next era of QA. And AI isn't going to replace you, but the people who actually evolve and start adapting AI will replace you. So we just need to keep that in mind, and we need to be more actually to think in that direction, let's say. But of course, AI in QA isn't about the magic, how we said it. It's about the context. And when we feed it with wage prompts, we will have a wage results. And if you feed with our real product logic, then we will get some scalable and precise and usable test cases. In my opinion, the role of the QA is going to shift, and actually it's shifting nowadays. And it's going to be from writing every test to build system that writes those test cases for us. We are going to invest in and learn the AI how to do this for us. And of course, in the end, I want to say that train your AI once, then scale with speed and the confidence between your team. I would like to say thank you guys for your attention. And of course, you can feel free to follow me on my LinkedIn page. You can scan the QR code, which is going to redirect you to my LinkedIn page. Of course, I want to say thank you for Dev Experts for the stage. Of course, if you are interested in what we are doing, and for sure, it's amazing things. We did really great things nowadays in the fintech industry. You can follow all of our channels, and also if you're interested in our company, we have opening positions, so feel free to check them as well. And let's move on to the questions, if we have some.
Fantastic. Maybe you want to switch back to your the QR code to your page. Maybe not, but not all of the
Yeah.
people seen it. So let's leave it here for maybe like a couple of minutes, and let me switch to questions. And we have some questions in the chat. So the first question that I see is a rather interesting one. So, do you regenerate, or do you foresee regenerating test cases with AI for each regression testing? If yes, how do you track tests progress over time if you regenerate them, right? If you don't regenerate them, how much time do you spend to build the regression test suite?
So for sure, we are not regenerate every time our regression test suit. When we have a test suit that is a regression test suit, we keep it that way. If something changes, some functionality changes, then we adapt it to it. How much time do you spend to build a regression test suite? I guess is the second part of the question. We actually currently have our regression test suites up and running, and so we don't need to adapt them during the phase of the regression testing. If something's pop up, how I said before, then we added it.
Mm-hmm. Nice question. A nice answer. Thank you. Moving on. The next question is, which model you are using the most, Georgi?
Yeah, in my daily base, I use most the GPT-4o. So this is something that is really usable for. It's really good for all daily tasks. I use not only for my career, but also for different things in life. I guess everybody's like that nowadays. So yeah, GPT-4o this is the OpenAI product. So this is the one that I choose mostly. And if we need some deep researches or something like that, I can suggest you to use 4.5. So it's really doing a great job there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Next question is a very technical one, and I like it. So how do you prevent AI from introducing bias or repeating bad testing patterns when generating test cases?
So it's a really great question. So first, it starts with what we feed it. Actually, how I mentioned it in the presentation. If the training data is outdated, so it's biased, or it's we can mention that it's low quality data, and the AI will reflect that. So one of the things that we need to do here is we need to give it strong, diverse, and some clean examples. Uh, of course, the second thing which is really important is the prompts that we entering, and we have to set clear boundaries. We need to tell the the AI model that we're using what kind of test to generate and what assumption needs to avoid during this process of generating it. And of course, how I repeat myself a lot of times, we need to give it a context. And if we know what's the real schema, the business rules, or the bugs that we've seen before, if we know that, it won't have to guess. It's not going to be biased anymore. And of course, we don't need to trust it blindly. So I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, we are going to put it in some AI model and we will believe it on 100%. No, we just need to actually review every output we have. We need to give feedback and we need to wait for improving over the time. So the short version is we need to guide it, don't just to use it. Bias in means biased out. So and it's still our job to keep track on all of those outputs.
Very nice answer. I like it. Thank you. Next question is, I sympathize with the next question. So, Georgi, do you think we as QA engineers should now focus efforts on how to build proper prompts?
I think this is the skill of the future. And I really think about how we can dedicate something like that, how we can dedicate the time of the people in the teams of actually developing those kind of skills, and how we can make um, how we can make the teams actually start working with the little steps by creating our own domain-specific tools. So for sure, as a QA engineer, we need to spend some more efforts to actually go in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. It seems that we don't have any more questions. Let's give it maybe a minute. Maybe someone will come up with a question. Thank you for a great presentation, Georgi. It was very nice and insightful. While I'm giving us a last minute to ask some question, thank you everyone for joining today. Don't forget to follow us on social networks, which you can enjoy on the screen. If you want to join us for the next meetings, please do that. We have more meetings online in our plan and also offline, as I mentioned, here in Porto, in Sofia, in other locations that we're present on. So I gave it the last attempt. So no more questions. Thank you guys and have a great productive week and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.